new gizmos to share with you. I think I may have shared with you a little bit about them. I discovered a quilter's dream. I started a quilt for my daughter, my only daughter, as a matter of fact, uh, many years ago. I don't even remember how many years ago. And it was a long time ago. And she is a college graduate and she does good things for animals, people's pets, and she deserves a sports quilt. Yes, my daughter's a sports nut, but only for New England. And she wasn't born even near anywhere near there. So I started her quilt. I ended up with two motifs and then I stopped. Stopped because I didn't realize just how involved my design was going to be because I wanted to be super special for her. And it was a lot of fabric to cut with the rope. Life kind of happened, work, job, stuff like that. And so he says we're trying to reconnect. So I hope y'all can see me. I'm just going to keep talking and I'll reiterate. Um, it was one of those things that I've always wanted to make her one. When she told me she loved the New England Patriots, she likes Brady, and he's not even on the team anymore. She still likes him, and she loves to go to Boston every year for her birthday. She goes on a trip with her. Usually, she'll take her older brother, the younger of my two boys, and they'll go. So, with my sewing, do you do quilting? I said I've dabbled in it a little bit, kinda, sorta, but it takes so much time to cut everything out, and they got to stitch them together, and they got to match up corners and all that. And she said, "Well, have you heard of this thing called Accu Quilt?" I said, "No." She said, "There's one that's motorized, and then there's one of it that's you hand crank it." And she said she's not adverse to hand cranking something. And she said, "Well, you put the fabric in on this die cut, and you put this cut it for you." Really? Go like this? And she said, "Yeah, I think you can cut like 4 or 6 of them at a time." My daughter's quilt got stuck in my head, and I'm like, 6 layers at a time? When I've been doing it one at a time like this, or two at a time? I said, I have to get this stuff. I went a little overboard. I made an investment in my daughter's quilt, and long term, because I do have a secret um, passion to do something for nursing homes. I want to make laptop laptop lap quilt for the elderly and the medications that they put older people and make them cold. So this is me sharing with you my Accu Quilt. This, all of these strips right here, I did in less than 30 minutes. These are the border strip, for the binding part. This, this is a monster. This is the big one. I didn't think I was going to need it, but to do the long strips, you do need this. Yeah. It comes folded up just like that. See? It comes folded like that. It's heavy. Yes, it is. And you open it up, and the crank. Let's see if I can angle you so you can actually see it better. There we go. It has a crank on the side. All right. Now for this one, there are die cuts that are big and square. They're like 10 inches. Okay. This particular one is for face masks. I just got this one. Um, they have all different kinds of die cuts. They're from butterflies to boats to, they call this the snail. And my son is going to propose tomorrow on January 1st to his lady. And so I had to get prepared for a wedding gift. They have the wedding ring. the wedding ring die cut. Have you ever tried to cut one of these out to make one? All these things, forget it. Anyway, it entails two die cuts, two big ones. One of them does the inside, the inner insert. Let me explain this piece inside, and the other one does the arches for you. So that is going to be my project for next year. I know that it's going to be a fall wedding. I don't know exactly what month, but I know on January 1st in Chattanooga, Tennessee, my son Aaron is getting himself engaged, and I'm excited. So to do the strips for a quilt, this is the really cool thing is, first, the strips, if you need to cut them on an angle, you just lay the fabric along the line that says that degree angle. No protractors, none of those, lucite things that you have to lay down on the fabric and then rotary cut it. You just put it on here and cut it. Line up the edge with that black line right there, and it will cut that angle for you. Isn't that amazing? So, since I plan on doing lap quilts, I was going to need this. And it cuts two strips. They come in different widths. This one is the 3.5 inch. So it comes out to be a 3-inch strip, which is perfect. And they measure all the way to the end. I mean, it cuts it all the way. Well, I think what happens is towards the very end, you end up snipping it. I mean, I know I did. So any of the die cuts, this is how you use them. I just wanted to show you the big one because I have to do the edging on my daughter's quilt. Patriots, I have to lengthen it by 2 strips. I did the front as Patriots and the back is Boston Red Sox. Yeah, I'm going to show you this. Come down since we're going to do this first. Okay, so this is folded in half. I want to get at least 4 strips out of this, possibly 6 if I'm lucky. I don't know if this piece is long enough. This was a remnant piece of this material. I didn't have too much trouble finding Patriot fabric, but it was a little bit of a challenge in the beginning. And someone had an assortment of different prints that I sold. So that's 2 there. Now, I kind of cheat with this. I'll fold it up. Sit there. And then, so that's 4 layers, 2 and 2. Now, it's going to smooth this out. Make sure it's smoothed out. Don't any funny stuff going on under there. Like that. And then the pieces up here. Fold it back. So I'm going to have actually, it'll be fun. It'll be, I think, if I remember how I did this before. So play fabric on there. You make sure that you have in your possession. These are cutting pads, they call them, I guess. That's it. Basically, it's a self-heal. And you put those, since I wanted to full length, I had to, they do have a 2-pack. There's no excuse to not get it. This is about maybe about $500 investment, but I got a lot of stuff. I've got, and I'll show you. But you put it in, that's my iron. You put it in and get it started, and you crank it, and you just step those sides, you can see. You go like this. You do not want to have any fabric hanging over on either of the ends, the side ends, then it will hold through. Now you notice I still have this here. When that one gets done on the other end, I'm going to put it over the top of that so it will cut that as well. And like this. And then we're getting to the second mat. And then we'll put the first one off. You can see it's already cut back there. And go like this. Now you could, if you wanted to, you could get several of the smaller cutting pads and use those instead of the big ones. But just go like this and like this. I'm going to bring this over here so you can see. Now, Look at that. Now there are spots where it didn't cut, but that's fine. I found with this particular one, I guess because it's so long, you don't get even pressure all the way down. And all you do is just kind of snip it in those little spots. It's not even a 16th of an inch where it missed. I don't know if there's a way to sharpen the blades on them or not, but I haven't sent you. Right now I don't care. I just need to get this quilt done. And we swing on the ends like this and like this. And I literally got all the pieces done for the back side part, the Boston Red Sox. I finished cutting all the pieces in an afternoon and was able to start laying them out, putting them together. It was like within a day or so, with everything else that I've got going on around here, I have the back finished except for the lengthening of it, or I call the border strips, which is what I use. So the way I folded that in three, and because the where it was folded was not where the blade was, it made them nice and long pieces is what I need. This way I only need one long piece, go across the top and go across the bottom. I have this elaborate design that I have drawn out on in a notebook of graph paper. The little squares made it easy to figure out size. And that's when I realized I had kind of let down myself a really huge task. And doing it by hand and knowingly I like to get, have a project, I want to get it done. If I can find a faster way to do it, that's what I'm going to do. I think we're all like that at some point. There are some projects you want to do slow, others you just gotta hurry up and get them done right. This makes it so simple because your edges on every single strip are nice and clean and straight and perfect. I can't cut anything perfect, but this can. So that's going to be more than enough. I may have to make a second one just for the fun of it. Now the thing is, when you're doing this, the strap parts, sometimes you end up with pieces that you can actually use in other parts of your quilt. Like the edges of this, where it was hanging over the edge, about an inch and a half. Okay, so since this was folded, that's actually enough to make a 2-inch strip. Look at that. I could make her a pillowcase match if I wanted to. I'm thinking about it. Anyway, that's how that works. The smaller one is another part of this setup that I have invested in. This is the small one. This is the Go Me, kind of like the beginner set. And this comes with 2 die cuts. You get to choose 2 die cuts to go with it. And one of them has the square that cuts into triangles. This is actually a 3.5-inch square one. So when I did the back, to save on time and not make it so super elaborate, I used the big 8-inch square die cut on the big monster there because it won't fit through this little die. I didn't know that when I bought it. I was not very observant, but I knew I had to have it for the back. And when I got it, I go, ooh, it doesn't fit through the one I just bought. But this will take up to 6 inches. Okay, this is 6 inches. Does the same thing. It comes, you can get it, and originally it comes with at least one of these, and that doesn't it. And you can use it either side. It's it's reversible, so that way you get more life out of it. Eventually, they'll need to be replaced, but right now they're brand spanking new, and I've been using them like the dickens. So those are the 2 mechanical pieces. As far as that goes, everything that comes from this company is heavy, by the way. especially when you get a box of these. Now, this is what they call a mix and match 8-inch block. And it gives you designs in here that you can actually make a quilt into. You don't have to use plain work. They actually give you designs that you can do using these dies. You take that one out, but they open up like a little book, and it shows you a picture, right? It shows you a picture what you can do with them. And here on each die cut, no matter whether you get it like this in a kit or individually, on every single die cut, it shows you a pattern for the block. And I love this color. I'm like, where can I get the fabric from? Where's the fabric? But if they're numbered, also tells you what it does. It will make a 4-inch finished square. It cuts the triangles. And then, of course, you do the 1/4-inch seam. And these are all 4-inch finished squares. So when you have 4 of these, there's your 8 inches. 8 by 8 by 8. So 4 of these equals 1 of that big one. And so you get real creative and figure things out. And that's the first part. There is the first little skinny one that comes in is a tip that says getting started. There's a DVD, getting started. Beginners, beware, you'll get hurt. And then it has a 6x6 cutting mat. That's what this all does. So that when you get this kit, you get another one of these guys. And mix and match 8-inch block pattern book. So they give you all the patterns for an 8-inch block right there. What more can you ask for, right? I mean, these are some awesome designs. If you like color and you like quilting and you like being creative, definitely gotta have it. And the last thing I'm going to share with you is the almost finished quilt. I'm very proud of myself. It's not perfect. That's because it's my first one. It's my first one this size. Initially, I thought it was going to come out to be like 50 inches by 63 inches. But I forgot about the first 2 squares I started years ago, and they were like really huge. It ended up being like 75 by 60 inches. My daughter's only 5'1", so she's going to wrap up in this thing. Well, this is the Boston Red Sox side. This is the back side. A lot of times you'll do your quilts where the back will be solid and the top is your design. Well, I'm making it reversible. Thing about that. I make reversible bonnets too. I don't know. I must like getting more for my money, I guess. Anyway, the tricky part is remembering right side up and long side up, so that your design doesn't have half of it upside down. I almost made a row of the back where it was upside down, and I caught myself. Thank goodness. So this is the Boston Red Sox side. That's just still little threads hanging on it, but that's the last thing that I do is I take care of all those. Because I've been feverishly working on this, so it's the Boston Red Sox side. And since I have a centerpiece on the front, I made a centerpiece on the back. So it looks like a tic-tac-toe. A Boston Red Sox tic-tac-toe. You can put checkers on there and play. However they use tic-tac-toe. And so it doesn't matter. The back is going to be with batting between the layers, so that's not going to be so bad. And then the masterpiece front that this all started with. I had an embroidery machine, a PE 150 Brother, and it was limited in what it could do. A lady was looking for one, and I was looking to upgrade. So I upgraded to a PE 800, and she bought my PE 150. And started with this center block from the bright blue and embroidered Patriots wool. You see that? And there goes my pin. Anyway, I knew that was going to happen eventually. Patriots wool, because in her book they do. And I came out with this 9, well, it's actually a 16 patch pattern. That's probably why it's so big. Should have stuck with a 9, but because the center piece was so huge, I ended up that way. And I took a top stitch to make sure that these little guys that are on there with fusible interfacing don't go anywhere. There's a little more character, a little more texture kind of look. And the one thing that my daughter doesn't know is that if it weren't for the good little bow, I wouldn't have been able to get the system. And it's actually because they do financing, it's giving me bill credit. I can't have a fork in the money all out at one time. And at 0% interest too, by the way. So I don't know if they do that all the time, but I know that when I got into it, that was offered. The red side and flip side. Since I already had the front design in my head and already partially done, I couldn't do the same thing on the front that I did on the back. I want to see how fast she catches on that God is on her quilt. There's 3 crosses, kind of like a really significant part of my life, actually. So I wanted to be a part of hers. Whenever I do a painting, I have 3 birds flying in the air. That's my kids. Also represents the Trinity. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. So on my daughter's quilt, I put 3 crosses. And very sneakily, by the way, I kind of snuck them in there at the very top. What's that Patriot side? Let's put this cross away. I'm sorry, I think it is a Patriot side. I think I was going to put them on the back, but no, on the front. Let me double check myself there. I'm going to put one of them on the back. I might be misspeaking myself here. And yeah, it is on the Patriot side. It is the Patriot side. I was saying, wait a minute. And I did put them on the front. I wanted them on the front, and I thought I wasn't going to be able to, but I was actually able to do it that way. I'm sorry I misspoke, but this is even better now because I forgot. Now I remember. Okay, we have on the very top, there's 1 cross, and then red represents Jesus' blood that he shed for us. And then on the bottom right corner, you actually heard what if you're holding a blanket, this would be on the left corner. There is another one, another cross right there. See it? I snuck it in there. And the 3rd one is over here, and it's in blue. There's there we go. And there's the blue cross. Boom. How long do you think it'll take for her to notice? Think she'll notice right away? I'm not sure how observant she is. It's not, things that I designed. I don't know. It's going to be really cool, really interesting. And I am definitely going to try to get her reaction on video for y'all. Until after it's online, I'll say, I saw you on the internet. You were holding up a quilt. How'd that happen? Hopefully not her brother. But anyhow, this is a work of art in progress. This system is going to allow me to do a lot of things, not just for my kids and family members and friends and stuff like that, but I want to be able to share some love to those that have shared their whole life with us, and that's the elderly. And if you have any ideas about that, and if you would like to participate, I would love to get a bunch of lady quilters just making lap quilts. They're only 36. Let me say, I figured 28 by 36, I think, is the appropriate size. I'll have to measure again. And so that's not a lot. And you can do a whole bunch of them really fast if you have something like this. But if you like doing it, manually with the rotary cutter and things like that, then by all means. But I would love for some of you guys to jump on the bandwagon with me. The elderly have spent their whole lives raising their families. And all they would really love to have is just be able to stay warm. And I know that because my grandmother, when she got up into her 80s, and then um, my great grandmother, she same thing. And my mother-in-law that had passed away last year, she also used to get very, very cold. And I crocheted a double bed size camp for her out of yarn, and she had it on her lap every day. Didn't matter, she didn't do much but watch baseball, but she always complained about being cold, and that's what I took all these scraps of yarn and made this confetti yarn kind of looking quilt. And I'll have to share that with you one day. And when she passed away, before she passed away, she was in adult care, and she specifically asked for one of my kids to go get her the Afghan animator, and that meant a lot. I had not been her daughter-in-law for many years, and she always thought of me as one. And that's why some of the elderly don't have families that come visit them. Wouldn't it be great to deliver some lap quilts to a nursing home to some of those folks that family members don't visit them, that someone's thinking about them? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be special? Wouldn't that just make your heart just get warm, warm, warm all over? And if you happen to be able to see who gets the quilt, I don't know if you can arrange that, but then you can get to see the look on that face that says, I'm not forgotten after all. Nobody wants to be forgotten. I hope I'm not. All right, I got these videos. Everybody can go back and see over again. Sorry. But if you really want to do something that brings you that joy and that passion, come along with me. And in between other things that I'm making and doing, we can make some seniors that are alone feel loved again. Wouldn't you want to be a part of that? I know I'm getting ready to, because this is going to let me do it. We could do something even as simple as you can make one clock. You send them to me. I put it together. I take a picture of the person receiving it for you. Now that would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Let me know what you think. Please comment, like my videos, like the channel, subscribe. Let me know that we can actually make a difference. We're only here on borrowed time anyway. And there's nothing worse than leaving this earth thinking nobody cares anymore. I know people and have known people that was exactly the case. I used to work in a nursing home, and that's why I have a heart for them. And I can finally do something about it. Oh, what Crafty Sue. Let's have some joy, let's have some passion, and let's just keep on sewing.